Overwatch competitive, cosplay, community, kawaii? By our powers combined, this is the Guardians Podcast. All right, so I had some hosts silently rating that. I didn't really see what it was. I just saw the fingers go up. But like I said last week, I nobody knows what I say until I say it. Sometimes I don't even know until 5 minutes prior. But anyways, this is episode 19 of the Guardians Podcast, where we focus on anything and everything Overwatch because we love the game so much. I am joined here by my lovely co-hosts, as always, One Eye and Tifa, and we have a special guest co-host. Who we will get to in a second. But before we do that, One Eye, we haven't been streaming as much because I haven't been streaming as much. How's it been? I think you got your desktop back and you are getting it put together. Is that correct?
Yes, finally. It is back, but that means that I have to reinstall and update absolutely everything top to bottom. So this will be the last week that I'm out here on the couch. Thank God. I have so many copies. I have no idea. But besides getting that all straightened out, in my free time, it's actually been nice. I've been zoning out on a little bit of Game Boy and just playing Bravely Default. It's kind of nice to pump like 40 hours into an RPG. I haven't done that in a while, so that's been my week mainly.
It's a good game too, and there's a new RPG that I want to do a Let's Play on, but I'm always broke, and it just came out about like a week ago. Called Tokyo Mirage Session Zephy. I think I was talking to you about that. It's like the next Fire Emblem game, and it's on Wii U. I want to test that out. So we'll see if it's a good game. But Bravely Default, another good game. Tifa, you were just recently in a competitive match, so you're still all fired up. How's your week been?
It's been pretty good overall. Competitive has been, I mean, I like it. I've been playing it a lot, but there's issues with it, which we'll dive into later. But
yes.
But overall, I would say my week has been pretty good. Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear. And we still haven't played a game together. You're always on when I'm at work, and I'm always on when you're at work, and it's just like we'll get it linked up eventually. But anyways, good to have you for another week. And like I said, we have a special guest co-host. I met this gentleman at Agents Rising about a month ago. He was competing with a couple other individuals. One of them, Carnage, who is part of Flipside Tactics, personally sponsored. He was on Team Eggplant. They did really well. I mean, they were up on the main stage. They had probably one of the most exciting series against Winky Face. I remember that very vividly because it went on forever and everybody was so into it. But anyways, we have CaptainPlanet is with us today. CaptainPlanet, why don't you go ahead and give us a little bit of your background? I know you are the creator of PlanetOverwatch.com, but what else have you been a part of, and what do you do in the community?
Right. So my main role in the community is meta reports. So I report on the competitive meta, and by that I mean like tournament scene, basically tracking hero pick rates, seeing what heroes are doing well, what heroes are not. I used to write a weekly column in Hearthstone for TempoStorm.com, so that's kind of where I got the idea for meta reports. I started doing them mid to late beta 1, I think it was, and they've grown a lot since then. Started my own website to host them on. Even just you all were talking about your weeks. My week was really busy. I haven't even gotten a chance to play all my competitive placement matches because I was working through getting acquired by Overbuff, which is Dota Buff coming into the scene. Dota Buff you might recognize from the Dota scene. They do a lot of great statistical stuff for Dota, and they're huge Blizzard fans. The people that started it were members of Blood Legion, the famous North American WoW guild.
Yep.
So this is their first foray into a Blizzard game, and I think they picked the right one.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Well, it's good having you, and I've heard of Overbuff and Dota Buff, and myself, I was an ex-member of Blood Legion back in the very beginning.
Oh, dang.
I left the guild. My wife and I had a son, and I couldn't devote so much time to raiding anymore, and so I stepped down and moved from Illidan to Tichondrius. So I'm
Alright.
very familiar with all of that. So it's good to have you, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Like we always do, we start off with the esports because people love competitive. They want to hear about it. They want to hear about their favorite players. And as always, we had a very active weekend last weekend. It started off with the One Nation of Gamers Operation Breakout. The playoffs are going on. The $15,000 playoffs are going on. And in the winners bracket, Envious defeated Cloud9 3-0. Dropped Cloud9 into the losers bracket. And other than that, neither team had dropped a set to any other team. So Cloud9 won through the losers bracket, came back and faced Envious, who then defeated them again 3-0. So Envious essentially went 16-0, finished in first place. Cloud9, the only losses they took were to Envious. I mean, they were really good series. And Envious, the new roster, is really... They're really putting up results. I mean, the old one, not to say they didn't, because they did. They were just on top of their game. But the new roster centered around Tailspin, and it's really impressive. And me being a Cloud9 fanboy, I'm wearing my Cloud9 shirt because I do it win or lose. I mean, they're not putting up the results they used to. However, still top 2, not bad, not bad. Also,
it's interesting because Envy, they've actually been, their roster has been the most stable next to, I would say, Cloud9. They came up with that roster during the Overkill tournament right before the game launched, actually. So they've been together for quite a while now, and I think it was a matter of time before they're number one because they've had a gaming house for like a month or two now, and they're the only team with a gaming house, and I don't know. It just shows they've been scrimming like 8 hours a day. They're one of the few teams that have because they're on the East Coast, so they can scrim EU and NA players. And then another interesting thing is pretty much like the one hero limit that came up with Josh OG and also the Onog tournament was great for Envious because they have pretty much the best fair player in the whole game right now in Tailspin. And of course Taimu is also a beast as well. So they really benefited from the one hero limit over that weekend. And I feel like LG did as well because Seal has a vast hero pool. You can play like almost everything. And Enigma too, so it'd be really interesting. But
yeah, I mean, they're showing results, and like you said, the Josh OG, the OG Invitational, the $25,000 tournament that happened my birthday and the day after, 25 and 26 June. Envy again, finals faced off against LG Luminosity and beat them 4-0, and I think C9 might have been a little tilted because they finished a distant fourth to Northern Gaming Red, who finished third. And I think
I have a question for you guys about NG Red.
Do you?
There was a bit of issue with NG Red. They actually had to forfeit a match against Luminosity. Otherwise, they would have been in the final.
Yes.
Do you think they could have taken Envy with the full roster?
To be honest, no.
No.
Not even for a single game.
Maybe one game. They are really strong right now because of I don't know, Bird's just playing out of his mind.
Yeah, they just added Bird and Wolf, right?
Yeah, well,
I guess
Wolf
they're all about the animals now.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. They just need Seagull on that team.
Oh,
yeah, right.
man.
Yeah, it's like Bird versus Seagull, and I think there's like some other guy with a bird name running around too. I don't remember though.
Yeah, I think his name is Veritech, one of the best in the world. Mechanical bird.
Helps Envious, I think, the state of the meta right now, too.
Yeah.
Like, since Barrett is so strong and they have, such strong fair players on the roster, I think they're just taking a lot easier games than they have been previously, too. I mean, the work's showing, absolutely. I just think it's a good meta for them as well.
And
it helps that the counter to Farah is Soldier, and guess who's one of the best soldiers? Taimu.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yep.
They have two ridiculous ringers, and two is always better than one.
It's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
I feel like the Widow and McCree nerf definitely hurt Cloud9. Reaver's one of the best Widows in the game, period. And he didn't get to play as much Widow over that weekend, so that was interesting. But
Yeah, I think they were making him play Pharah, right?
yeah, he was playing Pharah a lot.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yep.
But after ESL announced the tournament, I think all the tournaments are going back to no hero limit, so that'll be very interesting.
Yeah. It seems that I actually just talked to Hexagrams, who I guess he mostly runs the Gosu Gamers weeklies. Gosu Gamers just went back to 0 hero limit. They're adding 2 CP maps back into the pool, which won't matter because the pros are going to ban them anyway. But they're going to keep stopwatch, so that's good. But his justification was all the pros are currently scrimming 0 hero limit because of the ESL. So basically, because ESL has that FU money, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can curse on this podcast, but
it's true. They do have FU
ESL
money.
pretty much like put all their stuff on the table, and everyone else has to react to it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I mean, and it's a huge, that prize pool is just massive. And they came out, much like they did with Heroes of the Storm, and they said, oh, you guys are running, yeah, these are cute little tournaments. Yeah, 100,000, bam. And everyone's like, well, okay. I guess we better start getting ready. Now, I did hear you say that they kept stopwatch, so that's good. So I'm hanging up on you now. Goodbye. But I'm just kidding. But it's good that they're starting. It's good that they're starting to kind of conform and keep the rule sets similar amongst the major names that are in the scene right now. Because we discussed it last week. It doesn't bode well for competitive teams. It doesn't help their mood. It really doesn't help them prepare when they have to prepare for 3 or 4 different rules. So having them go back to the no hero limits, some people think that it kind of makes it a little bit stale. The meta's a little stale because you see 1 and 2 of the same characters in every match. But so what? Overwatch is all about adapting. So if you find that, you adapt, and the pro teams, the best teams will do it, and the teams that still need to work will go back and put in the work trying to beat these top teams. So, I mean,
I think one of the important things, too, about the whole no hero limit, besides the fact that standardization is good for the team so they can practice, I think that it's a little more exciting for people to watch, too. You know what I mean? Because it's more fluid and the teams are practicing and getting more practice and working on better comps and executing them more efficiently and better. It just overall makes for a better display, too. You know what I mean? Like, nobody is going to sit there and enjoy, like, shaky matches and not the best executed plans, you know what I mean? It's better to see teams playing at their best against each other. So I think it's a everyone wins kind of situation.
Yeah. Yeah, plus I like seeing all Winston comps to see if it's a LAN tournament, the faces of the opposing team when they see all 6 of them jump over, and B, how they counter it. I mean, it's not hard to counter, but you kind of have to get creative at times. So,
Reaper's good.
Reaper is very good.
I was actually having a conversation with one of the Master Overwatch guys about 1 hero limit versus no hero limit. I think this is a problem that will go away once we have more heroes in the pool. But right now, the synergies between different heroes are not as strong as the heroes against the same hero, right? Mm-hmm. So if you had some sort of like awesome, I mean, we've got Pharah Mercy, right? But right now, there's pairs of heroes like double Winston, double Lucio, which is just completely busted. If we need more heroes that have better cross synergy than stacking does. I think that might solve the problem. Yeah. But that's it. That's a problem for the future, and on Blizzard, not me to do.
That's very true. Very true. But I mean, there's more competitive news, and we'll get to that in a second with roster changes and some rumors. But there's also the Beat Invitational. They started their group stages the 27th and 28th. The teams that make it out of that will compete from the 1st to the 17th of July in the Beat playoffs. And the teams that are competing in that, it's a long series. But One Shot, Envious, Northern Gaming Red, Splice, Team Liquid, Gale Force, our own Gale Force, Rogue, and Cloud9 will be competing in that Beat Invitational. And they started the group stages a couple days ago, so make sure you guys check that out. They are on Facebook, they are on Twitter, and they're constantly updating. So check that out. And then also on the EU side, the Amazon Gaming Series for 10,000 euros. Misfits defeated Creation Esports with Reunited and Rogue finishing 3rd and 4th.
Misfits, who used to be called Graviton Surge, I believe.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So again, just different names, same results. Still finishing very high in the standings. Now there is some rumors, and we're very lucky to have Mr. Captain Planet on because he hears a lot of stuff.
Right.
And Tifa, who is very deep in the competitive scene, she hears a lot of stuff. And I just sit back and I grin because I don't hear anything. I must be deaf. So one of the things that we confirmed was that Esper, who played Mercy for Luminosity, was dropped from the team, and the team is currently holding tryouts to replace him. But what is interesting, and I think either Captain Planet or Tifa added this, is that in his farewell he only mentioned Seagull by name. Now, we don't know exactly what that means. I'm not going to speculate, but Esper, who used to be on the original Team Envious, I might add, has been through Envy and now Luminosity, and he is a free agent. So if you are forming a team, look for him. He is one of the world's best Mercy players. But it is interesting that he didn't thank anybody other than our Lord and Savior Seagull. So
getting back to that ESL tournament's influence on the scene, you're seeing it right now. Teams are shuffling around. They want to bring the best squad they can to that tournament. And on another note, you mentioned that the Amazon Gaming Series where Misfits won, Reunited, who generally has been in the top 1, top 2 in Europe, got third, and now they have benched Too Easy, and Too Easy is co-owner of the team, like they're a player-owned team, so that's really odd. He is I think he's not very happy about it. He's been basically saying he's a free agent and will be trying out for teams.
interesting.
Yeah, I saw him say that it was because he's been really busy with school the past few weeks, so he couldn't dedicate as much time to playing Overwatch. But the ironic thing is he also said once the news came out that he was benched, that all of a sudden he has all this free time. So it's a little bit, unlucky. But he did say that he still plans on playing Overwatch full time and hopefully finding another team soon. And honestly, I don't think he'll have a hard time of finding another team.
No.
He's a great player, so.
Same thing with Esper, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Esper will get picked up. Too Easy will get picked up. He is one of the more vocal members of the pro community. Too Easy is, and he definitely has a lot of passion, and I think it'll be a big pro to any team that he gets picked up with. I think I've heard FaZe kind of get thrown around as a rumored landing spot, but they have a pretty strong roster themselves. So we'll just have to see. We'll have to see.
Speaking of strong rosters, all right. So I have some NG Red rumors. NG Red obviously kicked ass in the Joshua G Invitational. Maybe could have gone second. I've heard from a source that I can trust that one of their players has been approaching other esports orgs, ones that haven't gotten into the scene yet, saying that they're available. I don't know.
To be honest, I'm not surprised at all.
It would make a bit of sense given how Northern Gaming has really been trying to build up their teams. Like, they have the most crazy social media team right now. But I mean, if you buy 2 teams, you build them up, you get out quick. That's easy money, right? But the thing is, the team is awesome, so it's kind of win-win. Players are going to get picked up by a really good org, and I guess Soda Poppin's going to make a bit of money off it.
Right?
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense because right now, as it stands, there's really no teams that contend with the top 10 in the world right now. And no matter if another team, I know a ton of organizations who want to get into Overwatch right now, but they're simply, it's either they take a risk or they just don't. And for now, I don't know. I feel like the risk of picking up a new roster that doesn't have any tournament results right now is not a very good risk on their part. So it makes total sense that a big org, huge names like, I don't know, TSM, CLG or something like that would want to pick up a team that has proven results and is doing relatively well, contending with other top teams like, Cloud9, Luminosity, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
so it makes
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is kind of the story we've been seeing with the game ever since beta, though. Once we got a little bit into beta, like, we're starting to see really dominant teams, and we're starting to see the same names over and over and over again that are just putting up results. And it's sort of this gamble of, when do organizations actually pick up a team? When do they actually sign the paperwork? And I think now that we're going to see $1,000 or $100,000 tournament up there, that's actual money. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so it's sort of like validation for everything that everyone's been saying. Like, it is beyond a shadow of a doubt in my mind that a year from now, Overwatch will be one of the biggest FPS competitive scenes. No doubt in my mind. And, like, just the momentum that's already happening is kind of what's influencing that on my end. So I'm honestly kind of surprised some of the bigger organizations haven't jumped in yet. I mean, especially with Cloud9 and Envious doing so well, you know what I mean? But I think it would happen. I could definitely see NG Red getting picked up.
Yeah, and teams are definitely or big teams are gonna aim to poach the smaller teams, because it's like Tifa said, there aren't even, like, we just named a couple like really good free agents, Esper and Too Easy. I think IDDQD, the player, not the game, or not the team. So you've got those three, but there's still not. You don't have enough to make a full team. That's the other issue with Overwatch. You need 6 players plus maybe a coach and a manager. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, we've heard rumors about CLG and TSM sniffing around for a while now, so I really believe
even
it's
like
only
Manchester United too. Like,
yeah, and Fnatic, like, they're all getting in bidding wars over teams, and you're like, well, this is exciting as a fan, but I'm sure that there's hell going on behind the scenes of, people trying to step all over each other to try and pick up teams, because there's these big names. I mean, I think a couple weeks ago we talked about FC Schalke. They picked up a League of Legends team, and Manchester United and FC Barcelona, they're both looking. Real Madrid's looking as well. Like, you've got these big sports organizations, and then you've got these huge Goliaths and CLG and TSM. It is kind of interesting that there's not as many Korean teams, because normally you see like Samsung, SK Telecom, KT Rolster's another big one that'll pick up teams, and they've been kind of quiet. Like, it's interesting.
Yeah, Lime of who manages one of the teams over in Korea has been saying that they all still have to work full-time jobs because none of the big companies are willing to sponsor them yet.
Right.
But they're still obviously like putting in 8-hour days in Overwatch too, so they're like dying over there.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yep. I mean, but one thing I did want to add, getting off of the rumors, and it's something I think that was discussed on social media, but I did want to bring it up since we do have a meta expert on the show, is that there were 900 plus competitive opportunities in the Alienware monthly, the June Brawl monthly. Out of those, with the nerfs to Widowmaker, Zenyatta was picked 0 times. Like, he at least was getting like a courtesy pick here and there. He got picked 0 times, with Widowmaker getting nerfed and with Roadhog really increasing in the meta in popularity. He wasn't picked. I mean, why is that?
So when you say they were getting courtesy picks, I've got some more numbers for you.
Do it.
So,
we love numbers.
We had 900 picks this last week, 0 Zenyatas. The week before that, it was 794 picks. The week before that, it was 1358, 2 picks. The week before that was 1246, 1 pick. So it's a trend. It's just weird that there was 0 this week.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Makes me sad, because I like playing Zenyatta. It feels like, if somebody farts in your direction, you die. So,
You just summed up why he's not getting picked.
Yeah, maybe.
I think one eye had something to say about it.
The big things was, there was that period of time where it was just double Zenyatta nonstop, and so they nerfed the way that the orbs worked, and that seemed reasonable, and that was fine. And he dropped off, but you were still seeing him. But I think the biggest thing was the indirect nerfs when they buffed all the other supports' health. When we started seeing more heroes who are getting, oh look, plus 25 health, oh look, plus 50 health, and all of a sudden Zenyatta's still sitting there at 150. Like, I understand it's Overwatch, get good, don't get hit, but it's just like there's so much random damage that just drops him that you have no real control over. Like split arrows or like a random bounce around the corner, you know what I mean? And I think that's just what keeps him out. It's not his kit, it's not his playstyle, it's that he is literally at the point of being almost unplayable with 150 health.
Yeah, and I mean
in Pugs, it's like Zenyatta is fine to play, right? He just rips tanks to shreds. But if you're playing at a high competitive level, they know if there's a Zenyatta on the other team, he's the #1 target.
Open season.
Yeah.
Exactly, and
He-
there's no way they would let Zenyatta do his thing, throw orbs and stuff without like going hunting, for him.
He has
So,
no
and-
mobility either. Like that, I think that's a lot of people bring up the fact that he only has 150 health, but he has 0. Like he's got no way to get away. At least Mercy can shift; she can fly. You've got Lucio who he can just boot people away, and he's got his crossfade aura. But Zenyatta has no mobility. He just floats around. I mean, he's so slow he can get caught by a Junkrat trap, and he's floating. Like seriously, they need to do something about that. But I like playing him, so I kind of hope that they tweak him so that at least he becomes more competitive. So I don't know, but it was interesting that there was 0. Like at least you see like 1, 2, 5, 6 picks. There was 0 picks, so they just completely ignored him. Even the smaller teams. So interesting. But any closing thoughts on competitive or the competitive scene before we moved on to the competitive play?
Yay, Roadhog. About time.
Yeah, it's nice to see him in games.
Roadhog's been rising every week since we've been doing 1 hero limits, and especially so once McCree and Widowmaker got nerfed. He's being kept in check, like mostly just because of Reapers, but he can still like solo Reaper if he's lucky. At the very least, the Reaper has to shift away, right? Because the whole Roadhog hook shoot melee combo is more than 250.
Yeah.
But he's being kept in check by the Reapers running around and like him being an alt battery. So I think without one of those, he would be picked in every goddamn game.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Shout out to Enigma and Hardblue for just playing great Roadhogs over this past weekend. They were just, their hooks were on point.
Yeah. I mean,
Go ahead, sir.
no, I was just gonna say it's good to see him. It's good to see the Junkers in general, especially with the 1 hero limit for a while. I mean, all of a sudden you see Junkrat coming out. You see Tailspin was playing some Junkrat. You saw I can't remember who on Cloud9 was playing Junkrat, but I mean, you see Roadhog come out. You see Junkrat come out. You see these characters that you normally didn't see. Breaking this usually double Reaper, double Pharah, double Lucio Mercy meta. You see all these off picks, and you're like, all right, cool, but where's the monk? Like, and there's still some other characters that don't see love, but that's again because there's a better alternative. So, it's whatever. We'll see what happens going forward. So far, the Overwatch team has shown that they are very receptive and very open to community feedback and very quick to make small changes. They said that they're not going to make huge monster, just giant changes like they were during closed beta. But I mean, we might still see some tweaks with them messing around, especially with the competitive play out. Which competitive play for PC came out on Tuesday. I ended my stream. I saw the tweet go out. I saw everyone going nuts, and I went, "Oh man, it's time!" And it's gonna come out on PlayStation 4. I believe Xbox One.
It just came out today. Xbox One was yesterday or something. PS4 rolled out today.
Kaboom! There you go. So it is now out on all the platforms. The official start to the season was June 1st. So this season is going to be a little bit shorter. It's only going to be 2 months, so you're going to have a month and a half to grind out and then 2 weeks of downtime instead of your typical 3 months that they said it's going to be. And they said, why did we release it on the live servers now? We do know that there were a lot of bugs reported during closed beta and during the PTR in both of the systems that we rolled out. Their first thing was they wanted players to earn their ranked rewards as soon as possible because there are rewards. I mean, you get the icon, you get the CP to be able to buy the golden weapons, and then they also understand that it's going to take a couple of seasons of competitive to get the system right. So they wanted to make sure that they got it out there. They started fleshing out bugs. They saw how the community responded to it, and then they were able just to kind of tweak accordingly. So it's not perfect, and a lot of us have problems with a lot of what's going on in competitive, but the fact that the mode is in the game is really exciting for people who have friends and they wanted to play a little bit more serious. So it's good that they rolled it out, and there are some specific kind of issues that people were having that we are gonna cover. But I mean, overall, competitive, it's here, it's cool. I mean, I'm happy. I need to finish my placements. I'm with CaptainPlanet. I haven't finished them.
How are you guys going about your placements? I've solo queued 5 of mine and gone 4-1, and that's not to toot my own horn. I'm probably gonna lose the next 5, but I've seen a lot of like, are people solo queuing, duo queuing? Are you going with a 6-stack? I think Tifa's going 6-stack, right?
Yeah, well, mostly. I went 6-stack in my placements and got 10-0. That was fun.
Yeah.
But it's a little weird because so my team coming out of placements, they got 68 and 69. I got 57. Like, why?
Well, we already discussed this on Twitter. It's because
we did.
More players are second-class citizens.
Exactly.
There's actually. Oh yeah, you wanna explain it? Since
Well,
you've already
during my placements, we were just absolutely wrecking the other team, right? They didn't even really need me. I played Mercy on every single game, and I was just basically a cart pusher. So I just sat on the cart and did nothing. So I didn't get any eliminations, barely healed anything because my team wasn't taking damage. I just sat on cart, and I feel that, well, Blizzard has actually stated that the rating also depends on your previous MMR and also how well, quote unquote, you did during your placements. Now, I have a theory that the how well they're rating you by is very biased towards fraggers.
I think it's an average based on the other people playing the same class. So the problem is you didn't have anything to heal, so your healing stats were no good.
Right, that's true.
But I mean, One Eye and I, we've only played 3 placements, and we've gone 3-0 since then. But we are only playing when we have 3 people or more, just because we want to be able to have every role covered. Because I'd rather have a competent tank, a competent support, and a competent flex than just leave it up to chance. Because I haven't seen any toxicity in competitive. Granted, it's only been 3 games, but people are just complaining about there's no verbal communication. Communication's even worse. People are even more lone wolfing in competitive because they know that it really, really counts now. So that's the strategy, at least, that we're taking, is that we're waiting until we have like 3 or 4 people before we do our placements. It's just a rudimentary, arbitrary number that you can raise or lower based on your performance. I actually have a second account I'm grinding up to level 25 so that I can just solo queue it and kind of do my own personal experiment to see where I end up on both accounts. So, but that's how we're attacking it.
I can tell you how 5 placement matches have gone. The first, basically, since I'm solo queuing, I'll wait until there's only like 2 picks left and then just pick whatever fits the team best. Because I mean,
you are the hero the game needs.
Yeah, well, I'm not a good fragger. I know that. I'll play one if there's room for it, but like in general, I trust myself more than anyone else, like more than any pug at least, to play like a Reinhardt or a Lucio or Mercy. So by doing that, I think I played Reinhardt twice, and then an even split between Lucio, Mercy, and Symmetra, and I went 4-1, so I can't complain really. The only toxic thing that happened was actually in a win. We started the entire. I think I was with like a group of 5, and they all picked Soldier. And I went Reinhardt. I was like, "Come on, guys, let's be real here." So 1 switch to Roadhog, 1 switch to Zen, but we still had 3 soldiers, but rolled them anyway. So, whatever.
Yep.
Funny story. The Winston game I mentioned earlier, the 76 elimination, 71 kill participation. The reason why is this is literally our first placement game, right? It's me and Veritech and one of his followers, who's we've met her and all that jazz. And we go into the game, and we lock in, and we do. I think I picked Reinhardt. We have like Mercy, and then Veritech picks like Junkrat or something like that. And then the other 3 pick Torbjorn, Bastion, and we're all complete jam. And so we played for a couple minutes, and we're like, guys, come on, please, can somebody switch? And the Bastion switches, and the Torbjorn switches, and then the last Torbjorn switches to Bastion. And so it was like, okay, well, I'm just going to play Winston, and then we're just going to kind of do the best we can. And as soon as we got, like, at least that minimal amount of, like, teamwork and cooperation, we just started steamrolling that game.
Yeah, we just wrecked people.
The first 2 minutes was really shaky. It was good, though, because nobody was toxic. It was just like, please, guys, why 2 Tor Bastion? Why is this happening? We're on control point. What's happening? Like,
Yep.
So-
And I mean, it's like I said, it's all about adapting in Overwatch because I started out on Junkrat and you were on Winston, and we had our good friend Watch Out Jackie, who's in chat right now. Hi Jackie, on Mercy. She had already done her placement, so she's like, I'm just gonna heal you guys. So Junkrat, I think I was like 15-5 after the first round, and I'm like, this is really uncomfortable. So I switched to Zarya, and I'm like, if you guys want to be difficult like that and play super immobile heroes, let's set you up. So One Eye and I just started rushing front lines, just grabbing points. I think you had 72, 76 kills. I had 64 kills, like, or eliminations. Like, it's just like, all right, let's just do this. Like, just throw Graviton Surges out. Just go Angry Monkey. Like, it's all about that adaptation. And that was our first placement. We ended up winning our next two after that. So we're 3-0 right now. And I actually want to finish my placements, but I'm really nervous. Like, placements always make me nervous regardless of the game. Just because then you have a number staring you in the face, and you're like, everyone can now look you up, especially on Master Overwatch, and be like, well, I'm better than you. Well, why did you get that? I'm better than... It's like, okay. But I want to get them done, so at least I can exhale and just kind of relax. But, I think there were some Blizzard responses on one of the specific issues with being able to rank up and rank down on a specific type of map. Why don't you go ahead and cover that?
Yeah, so one of the big things that kind of outraged the community and had a lot of people concerned when competitive came out is that King of the Hill maps were not properly giving credit and experience in competitive mode. And I mean, this was a big deal. The community was freaking out because you actually see those games a lot. And in competitive too, it's not a best of 3 like it is in quick match, it's a best of 5. So not only is, you want to be playing for full points regardless, but they are also generally going to be the longest matches you play when you play competitively. So we saw Blizzard immediately get responsive about this. So Evia came out and said that they were aware of it. I'm going to butcher this name, so in advance I just apologize. I'm going to say Lilyria. Fingers crossed. Go ahead and mention that they had noticed it on PC, Xbox One, and that they were going to try to fix it. And then even the man himself, Jeff Kaplan, came out and talked specifically about what was going on with the bug. And luckily, even though originally Blizzard said, we're not sure, we think it has something for how it calculates with King of the Hill, and that's why it's happening just here, not on the other maps. But they did get it fixed, thankfully, because that was a big one. I mean, that was something that we saw Reddit blowing up about. That was something that we heard.
Yes.
I mean, even in matchmaking, people were upset about. And I think it makes sense, too, because in all honesty, those are some of my favorite points. Kind of like CaptainPlanet said, I'm not somebody who plays a lot of offensive heroes. I'm somebody who's like, yeah, give me Winston, give me Reinhardt. I want to go in and I want to make Mercy have a really sad day. Like, that's the whole reason I play the game. So control points are really something I enjoy, especially Nepal. Nepal might be one of my favorite maps in the whole game. So that's something I'm glad they fixed. And once again, it's just nice to see that Blizzard not only is paying attention to the community, but is still staying vocal, still staying responsive, and once again, shout out to Jeff Kaplan for just always being on it.
Yep. And they did release, like he said, Lilyria, who's one of the chief CMs for the Overwatch community. We got to meet her last BlizzCon. Stephanie, you're amazing. She came out. Granted, it was a super vague post. Like, it was just a paragraph long, and then the comments were locked. But she said, the problem with skill rating on control maps, it's been fixed and implemented. The skill rating gains and losses, they should be accumulating per what we intended. Now, granted, like I said, I've only played 3 placement matches, so I don't know if it's been like that, but I know on the PTR, after I did my placements, I think I won 2 King of the Hill maps, and I gained like 8% of a level, and I lost one, and I lost half a level. So I'm sure it's probably not like that anymore, but they did see that. They did address it. Now, there is another exploit. People always do this, like...
Yeah, speaking of bugs.
Yeah. I don't really know. I've seen people complaining about it, and I know that it involved 2 specific heroes, but I don't know what the exploit is. I just know that you can use it to crash games.
Yeah, so it was happening on one of the bigger streamers whenever they were... They kept getting matched against the same 6-stack, and once the same 6-stack realized who they were getting matched with, they would do this. They use Genji and Hanzo in some way to, I think they like send it at I think it involves the spawn point in some way, but they basically send too many commands to the server and it just shuts down before it overheats.
Yeah, I heard
it ends up both teams get sent back to lobby. I think no up or down in rating happens, but they'd just rather not lose to the streamer team, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
It just kicks them back to lobby, and I think it involves something like them auto wall climbing. Like they just wall climb to the point where it just sends so many commands that it just shuts everything down and kicks everybody out.
Or like something like they bound that to their mouse wheel or something.
Yeah.
They used to do that.
Probably
they
like
used to
a
do that to WoW
macro.
servers.
Yep.
There's an old fishing macro that you could do in Dalaran. You just spam it and it crashes the server. Too many fish.
Yeah. But I mean, so competitive is out. What have you guys seen so far that is good and really needs improvement? In your mind, outside of the stuff that we covered with King of the Hill and with, like I said, I haven't seen the exploit, but apparently it's a deal. Personally, I don't really care because if it crashes and I don't lose anything, hey, whatever. But what are your thoughts on competitive in its current state right now? Why don't we go ahead and start with you, Gale Force? I win everything, Tifa.
So another annoying thing that I don't know why it's like this, but basically, if you get into a game and then if one of the players crashes or leaves the game within 30 seconds of the game starting, the game will automatically force you out, everyone out. So it doesn't matter if someone crashed on your team or the other team, it'll force all 12 players out of the game. Now, that is not a really big deal because I can see why they did that because, if it's just starting the game, then yeah, why not just restart, right? But the weird thing is on your profile so you don't lose or gain skill rating if that happens. But on your profile, where it says like how many games you played and how many games you won, it counts as a loss on there. And it also counts as a loss on Master Overwatch. And it's just kind of like, I guess it's like, it kind of doesn't matter. It's like an arbitrary number, but it's still, it feels bad, feels bad, man. When you see that loss on there and people are looking at your profile page and they're like, oh, they're like 10-4 when really you're like 10-1. And then related to that, not only that, but so if a player actually crashes or leaves at any point in the game after 30 seconds where it doesn't force players out, right? So this happened several times to people who were on my team. They would blue screen or something and they would get kicked out of the game, and then they'll come back within 30 seconds to the game, and then we would go on to win the match. Now, for that particular player, it counted as a loss. And it must be some kind of weird, like, it's not coded well or something like that. But I'm sure Blizzard didn't intend it that way, but that's how it is right now. So that's another thing that they have to fix.
Yeah. And I've seen that too. And I've seen a lot of people complaining about it. And this is something I think that's different between the PTR and live, because it happened a couple times to me where teammates would leave and then it would kick us out and nothing would happen, and now teammates would leave and it's a loss. And it's like, leave without penalty. It's like, well, a loss is a penalty. Like, if we win 5v6, well, it's still a loss. Like, I heard one of my friends actually ended up winning a 5v6, and it still counted as a loss for him because they had somebody, he disconnected and then couldn't get back in the match. They were in a party, and put him in a solo queue competitive game instead of putting him back in that match. And it's like, well, not only did he take a loss, but now he's not playing with his buddies, and his buddies just won the game, and they still took a loss because they had a leaver. So I've been saying all along, they need to fix this. I am a huge fan of League of Legends Loss Forgiven system, where if you lose but there is circumstances that are beyond your control, it doesn't count as a loss. You just go back and have to redo it, essentially. I would like to see that because there's so many issues, and Blizzard has always had problems with people disconnecting and whatnot, and different ISPs, handle things differently. And Comcast in my area for a while had WoW firewalled. So if you played for more than 15 minutes, you would get dropped. And a lot of people in my raid group from a couple of years ago were getting dropped in the middle of boss fights because they were playing WoW for more than 15 minutes, and their ISP was going, nope, you're done. And they're like, they can't really control that. Now, it's been resolved, but why punish the rest of the team if you have someone that rage quits or disconnects? And then again, to have them reconnect, but they still take a loss, like, it doesn't make much sense to me. So we'll see. I actually really like competitive. I like the system. I've only played 3 games, so I'm very noob when it comes to competitive. But the games felt higher quality. Like all 3 of the placement matches we won, they were all close games. They were not stomps one direction or the other. And I really, really enjoy that, where it's like, you got that pucker factor going on right up until you see victory, and you're like, oh, that was such a satisfying game. And I'm sure One Eye can echo that as well, because he was in those games with me. Like, competitive feels better to me. And it's kind of caused me in quick play to play a little bit more meme-tastic, so to speak. I know I was driving some people crazy yesterday because I was on May and I was not on the point because I was just playing team deathmatch and walling people. But it's because now we have competitive, so it's like, yeah, my quick play stats are trash. I don't care. I have competitive to go on. So, I don't know. I like competitive. I just think they need to tweak some stuff.
Yeah, I will say that I really enjoyed their skill rating system a lot more than what they had in closed beta with the tiers. So they did it well on that, in my opinion. It's like a nice little bell curve.
Yeah, some of the pro players are a little pissed off because it's not immediately apparent why they gained so little or they gained a lot of skill, right? But I think that'll matter less the longer the season goes. I think if you're the very best of the best, you should be near 100 at the end of the season.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead, One Eye.
For me, what I wanted to say about it was, because I come from like a really extensive MOBA background. Like, I have lots of history with League of Legends, Dota, Smite, like all of them. I've just played them tons and tons and tons. And so for me, I don't necessarily feel that craving for stats because I'm used to being in a game where you're playing thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds, you know what I mean? For me, the big thing is actual teamwork. And like I said, when we played it on the PTR, I actually liked it because even though we had lots of angry, salty people and lots of people who were just leaving games, it actually felt coordinated and like a game. And that's how I feel it is going on live. Like, whenever we play a game, like the example I gave, even though it wasn't the best comp and people were not really paying attention at the start, it actually felt like a team working together. And that's the whole reason you play a game like this, right? That's the whole reason you play like a MOBA, is that team coordination feeling. It's the PvP of it, So I'm enjoying ranked solely because even though people might be easier to tilt and might think a little bit more highly of themselves, it actually feels like the real game experience.
Yeah, and going back to that weird split between supports and fraggers in terms of like rating and ranking, I think what will end up happening, and remember, we're only 3 days into competitive or something like that. Towards the end of the season, the wins and how many wins in your like win-loss is going to matter a lot more in that rating than how many frags you get compared to the average. So the people that are actually good and the people that are actually winning consistently will probably end up having the highest rating.
Yeah.
And that's how I would do it.
Yeah, well, I would do it the same way.
Yeah, so it puts a lot more emphasis on the actual teamwork aspect of it.
Yeah, and I mean you can already see it on Master Overwatch, which is pretty much the only like widely disseminated site that everyone can go and check to see where they're at.
Overbuff just went live with they can now split the data between
can they?
Quick play and competitive. Yep.
Well, I have
looking at Tifa's record right now,
You know
telling me
what?
that she is
While we're on
62 out of
stream,
100 and 26 and 6. Does that sound right?
while we're on live right now, I'm bookmarking over because I have a bookmark to Master Overwatch. I'm adding a bookmark right now of favorites, and I'm putting it in my preferred favorites. Overbuff. There you go. Boom. But
go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, you saw that at the beginning, like after the initial wave of competitive went out, you saw people like Mendokusai and Taimu near the top, but then you had the supports and the flex players like Grego from Cloud9 was way down in the 60s, and you're like, and there were people actually giving him some crap. They're like, our SR is higher than yours. It's like, so he plays like. So what? Like,
are you on Cloud9?
Yeah. So what? Like, who cares?
That's actually a thing I like about both Overbuff and Master Overwatch is they put a big emphasis on making esports team members visible. So you know that even though like his rating might not be as high, he's still fucking Grego.
Right. Very true. Can I just say that I'm looking at Overbuff right now, and what I like is the fact I don't have to know somebody's number for their battle tag.
Yeah, that's kind of.
If I go quiet for the next 20 minutes, it's because I'm looking everybody up. But yeah, I mean,
if I can suggest a page, you should check out the live page, because that'll show you all the Overwatch streams that are live, and then overlay all the information that you could want to know about that streamer. So right now I'm looking at Stir, and it's showing me that his top heroes are Pharah, Tracer, Hanzo, Zarya, and Widow. Gives me his ranking, gives me his rating, gives me all their win rates. So you can. I'm working with the devs to get it so that it's like searchable and sortable, and it's going to be like this. This is what Twitch should be doing, honestly.
I need to add myself to this, yeah. Because in addition to hosting a podcast, I also stream Overwatch, and I mainly did YouTube gaming, but Twitch is also a great platform, and I've been cross-streaming, so I need to add myself to this. But again, I kind of set you up with that softball, but Overbuff looks really good. Not to go off on a tangent, but it looks really good. So, but anyways, competitive is it's a good for start. It's a good kind of starting point for Blizzard then to tweak stuff and change stuff and kind of listen to feedback. Number one, please, for the love of God, fix your lever system. But, you know, I mean, the fact that somebody now has a competitive mode, because we are all competitive at heart, it's nice. And now we can use Quick Play to practice the characters that we're not good at, like we should have been doing, rather than just racking up 90% of your time on your same 2 or 3 characters because you're afraid to look bad. So, you know, it's good. Someone's talking about CaptainPlanet in chat. I normally don't read chat during the live stream, but that was funny. But
Oh, really?
yeah,
my chat. I popped out the window. I'm not seeing anything.
it's up on the YouTube
well.
side.
Oh, gotcha. All right.
Yeah, but the YouTube chat's usually always active. But I mean, yeah, competitive mode is here. Guys, I recommend you go check it out because it's on every platform. As CaptainPlanet confirmed, and he is the captain of confirmation for competitive C words. Go check it out.
Spend my whole day on Twitter. This is why I know things.
Yes, he is a social media guru. But like we do every week, we have a community spotlight at the end because Overwatch is full of a ton of creative people. And anything that kind of sticks out in our mind, we go ahead and share it with you guys. Now, we can't do everything because we only have, you know, a set amount of time. Otherwise, we'd be here for 9 hours every Friday night showing you all the cool stuff in the community. But a couple of things really stuck out to us. There was someone who shared a well-endowed picture of all of the ladies of Overwatch, and they are in swimwear. And it's really well done. And then somebody else also made a working, functional Soldier 76 mask. And I'll go ahead and put that up so you guys can see him. But I mean, it's really cool to see this kind of creativity. The Soldier 76 masks looks really authentic. You know, he even added the light up laser eyes, and you know, it looks really cool. But the thing that I really like, I kind of stopped me in my tracks, was somebody, a 22-year-old in Norway, goes by the name Just Cosplay and Props on Facebook. His Instagram is at cosplay_just. Did a full mock-up Genji cosplay. Now, as you can see, and if you're not watching live, the official Overwatch team, Twitter team, actually tweeted it out. It lights up. It has a light-up sword. You know, it looks like Genji. Like, those of you who are watching live, this is an actual picture of the guy. This is not out of the game.
Yeah, he's got to have like a full body like morph suit that's also painted underneath it. Yeah.
Yep, and he shared all of the stuff on Overwatch, and as you can see here, he's actually playing Overwatch in his Genji. I will say I have a problem with this. Just Cosplay and Props, you're playing Hanzo dressed as Genji, so you might want to fix that the next time you take a picture. But I mean, this is spectacular. So for those of you who have Instagram, it's cosplay_just, or if you want to look him up on Facebook, he doesn't have as many pictures there, but it's Just Cosplay and Props. I also do want to note this is his first cosplay ever. So to have that quality out of your first cosplay,
It's insane.
Yeah, it's like, what? So,
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of creativity and passion in this community is really second to none. And there's a reason why we didn't cover it, but I'm going to plug it here at the end. Overwatch now has 30.36% of PC Bank's share in Korea to League's 26.8. Suck it, League. I love you, but you're now second best because Overwatch is amazing.
I
Anything?
can actually share a little bit more about that.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Overwatch has actually been over 9%, so over 9% over League for the past 3 days. It actually hit over 10 yesterday. So that's all. You can actually look at. Here, I'll send you a picture of the graph, but it's all due to the competitive patch. Everyone in Korea is playing competitive mode, and you can see it just instantly goes straight up as soon as it goes live. So yeah, sorry, League. It's too bad.
I mean, as I've been saying with our own country and history, and it applies to everything. I mean, empires have to fall eventually, and League has been like the titan. Now, Dota's had the prize pools, but League, like everybody, even myself, like 3 years ago, when I was huge into StarCraft, and I watched the WCS, and it's like League of Legends, what the hell is that? And like me and my buddy watched a video, and I'm like, they're not even attacking each other, and then during a Battle.net downtime, I installed it because it's free to play, and I started playing it, and I ended up putting in 5 hours into the game, and I went back that next night into work, and I'm like, holy crap, dude, like, I get why it's so addictive. And, like, it's had the biggest scene, like, it just, Riot and Tencent are everywhere, like, it's huge in Japan, now it is, but it's huge in Korea and China and the Oceanic region, like, but that's where Overwatch, I think, is really going to start to take over, and as you pointed out, with the competitive mode, now the Koreans and the super hardcore, like I can go to school for this, esports gamers are going to get into this, and it's just going to go even higher because Overwatch just has that appeal. I mean, it's well rounded, it's well polished. I mean, even in the alpha and beta play, like it just felt like it was a real game, and it was already released. So
they had an entire Overwatch festival while the US was having their Overwatch 2-week downtime in between beta 2.
Oh yeah,
we
that was crazy.
we all sat in Discord and watched the tournament together. Like there was like 30 or 35 of us sitting in Discord, like watching this Korean tournament happen, and we
I
got
think
to
that was the first time we saw it. Overwatch played at LAN too.
Yes, I think that's true. It was either that or there was like a French one, but that was, we got to see Lime play, his team play. We got to see that the female Genji. There's a girl over there that plays Genji. Like she's the best Genji in Korea, straight up. And then we've also had I don't know if she played in this tournament, but there's that female gamer that plays
Zarya.
Zarya
was all over the news too.
Yep.
She was so good that everyone was accusing her of cheating.
And then Blizzard came out and was like, no, she's not. And she
Yeah.
was like, suck it.
suck it.
Yeah.
Good, right?
Yeah.
The two people that accused her were like, we will give up Overwatch.
Yeah.
We're so
Real quick.
ashamed.
And I think they followed through on that.
They
didn't
did. They did. They're off their teams now. Yeah, they're no longer playing on teams. But
Insane. Like that is the level of how seriously people are taking Overwatch in Korea.
yep, I will say that teenage Zarya player, because Zarya is one of my mains. I watched that video, I watched another stream, couldn't understand a single word of what was being said, but I just watched to see how she played Zarya, and so I started adapting how I play Zarya to how she plays to kind of just see if it helped, and my KDA actually went up 0.6 in the games I've been playing since. I don't know if it's really because I just have been playing a lot of games or because it actually works, but they are super hardcore over there. Like, it's scary good how fast they pick up games and just get like the world's best at them. So I really hope that the Overwatch scene in Korea picks up, because it's time for our Korean overlords to kind of take their throne, and then EU and NA to kind of throw ourselves at them. But
yeah, speaking of that, it's like the threat of the Koreans getting good at this game is enough to motivate these EU and NA teams. That's like a lot of the reason Envious is boot camping. Like Seagull's getting asked like every day, why doesn't Luminosity have a gaming house? Like that sort of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're taking it serious. There's already a scene. I mean, there are names in the scene now, and there's going to be more. And as a fan and no longer a player, I promised my wife I wouldn't play. Heroes of the Storm was one and done. As a fan of competitive, I cannot wait to see what the future holds relating to news and organizations and whatnot, because it's only going to get bigger. I mean, the game's been out for a month and a week, and we already have this massive scene, and it's going to get even bigger, and we're going to be even more excited for it, and I'm going to be able to fly out to more events and more tournaments, and it's just going to be amazing, and I'm going to stop waving my hands around now. So
same goes for me as a content creator. Like,
yeah.
The more, especially one that's like focused around what these pros are doing, the better the pros get, the better they're gonna like make up strategies to counter each other. At the very least, the weirder the meta might get. So, and that's like my life right now. So I'm all for it too.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if there's nothing else community-wise, if there's nothing else, we'll go ahead and do our closing thoughts. If there's any topic anybody wants to bring up, the floor is yours. Go ahead and zip it out. And if not, then we can go ahead and do our sign-offs.
I'm good.
All right, well.
I guess I have one thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to be starting to look for content creators to join me on Overbuff. People will be writing
What kind of
strategy
content
guides.
creators?
So think strategy guides, either hero specific or map specific, down to like, how do you best take Hollywood on offense, or how do you counter that one strategy I read on Overbuff on defense Hollywood, you know? So I'm looking for people to start thinking about that. I'll be putting out a more official announcement for submissions, but the idea is that we'll be putting out a good amount of content that isn't just my meta reports. So
That's super cool.
That's the plan,
Outstanding.
man.
Yeah, you perked my antenna up too, because I'm very much into meta and strategies and whatnot. Like that has always interested me. So my antenna's up, and for those of you who are watching and listening, keep your eyes peeled. CaptainPlanet Overwatch, OW is his Twitter. Follow him, stalk him, and he'll start putting stuff out. Yes. But for now, I think that's it for episode 19 of The Guardians. We thank you for tuning in. We thank you for listening. We do live stream every Friday on YouTube Gaming and on Twitch, and I also upload immediately onto iTunes and Google Music when we are done. One Eye, where can people find you at when you are not on The Guardians?
As always, I'm very easy to find on Twitter. You can get a hold of me over at NA1I. And then also, I work with a group called Multitap, so if you don't catch me during the week when I'm streaming with you, you can always at least find me Wednesday nights doing the Multitap podcast, and that is 9 p.m. Mountain, so I want to say 10 Central? Oh, no, I'm not
10
Central. Sweet, got it. Nice, 10 points to jump. But yeah,
Nailed
so if I'm not here and I'm not streaming with you, you can find me over at Multitap.
Outstanding. Tifa, where can people find you at when you're not crushing noobs in competitive?
Find me on Twitter. It is GFE_Tifa. Yeah, I love talking to people, so hit me up.
Very nice. And then our honored special guest, CaptainPlanet. It was wonderful having you on the show. You brought a ton of insight. I knew it was going to be very numbers-based, and I love numbers. Where can people find you at when you are not guest starring on the world's greatest Overwatch podcast?
You can get me on CaptainPlanet OW on Twitter. You can follow Overbuff as well. They're just at Overbuff. You can email me at ben@overbuff.com. I'm not sure if my meta report will be on planetoverwatch.org or on Overbuff this week, but if you follow me on Twitter, you'll be sure to know there. So,
Yay.
yeah.
Outstanding. And as for myself, as always, YouTube, Veritech, first result. I'm the biggest and best on YouTube. Twitch and Twitter at Veritechgg. It's very simple. I will be having my own website here shortly that will link to all this stuff. Unfortunately, finding Veritech anything that's not com, org, io is expensive and or impossible because they're already sold. But I will find something. So be sure.
Veritech.lul.
Lol. That might work. Hey, I'll have to give that a shot. But again, plugging it again. Go check out Multitapped, we have a couple of their featured streamers in chat right now. They are amazing. Go check them out. Gale Force Esports.
Mike and Luke. Was that right?
Yes, Mike and Luke. Yes. And they're ribbing each other like they always do. Gale Force Esports, make sure you check them out. I think Harblu and a couple other streams. So if you search on Overwatch on Twitter, you'll find those. And Overbuff, I am absolutely in love with this site. I am going to have to go break down numbers and stuff after the podcast is over, because I used to do that on Master Overwatch. I just really hope that Overbuff isn't blocked at work, because that's where I spend most of my time looking at this. But
Yes.
anyways, like I said, that is it for us. You can catch us every Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, here on Twitch and YouTube Gaming. Just check us out at GuardiansOW on Twitter. And for my two guests, or my two hosts and my honored special guest, this is Veritech.
It's as good as two people.
That argument can be
It's
made, and
confident, too.
yeah, that
Yeah,
argument.
that was a lot of data, man. That's a pretty solid argument.
that I can definitely agree with. I will side with the you are just as good as two people. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, yeah. But again, we will.
Ego, that's not safe.
Well, we'll feed each other's egos, because I know I'm amazing and you know you're amazing. So we'll just have to keep doing this and see where it leads. But again, Fridays, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on Twitch, right here on YouTube. And for those of you who are listening to the podcast, iTunes and Google Music, just search for The Guardians. You can find us there. I am Veritech, saying we will see you next Friday.